And hello everyone, welcome once more back to my floor. As you no doubt noticed by the setup, I'm going to be going over another professional Go game. Though I'm using professional in, well, only the most literal of senses. Because I'm not going over a professional versus a professional game today. I am actually going to review a professional versus amateur game because that's what I was in the mood to do, so why not make a video for anyone that wants to see that sort of deal? Seems to make sense. I thought it did anyway. Our players today, you may recognize them. White is going to be the infamous player I Don't Care 1, a very, very strong player who frequents the server Taigem. He ranked up from 5 Dan to 9 Dan, losing none of his games, and those games, wouldn't you know it, are, in my opinion, very educational. Sorry if you can hear the helicopter that is trying to land on my house. I live right behind a hospital, and if it's picking it up, well, that's what it is. So let's hop right on into the game here and see what goes along. I'm going to be asking myself a lot of the same questions that I usually do in my How Do You Study a Professional Game series. His opponent in Amateur 5 Dan opens up on the 4-4 point. Nothing unusual there. White takes the opposing 4-4. Again, nothing unusual there at all. Okay, 3-4 facing our 4-4. We know that we might feature a orthodox variation this game. We might switch into a mini or a micro Chinese variation this game. Many, many options. And White kind of has to think about that too. I mean, if he's going to allow, for example, a mini or micro variation, then you might not want to play a bit more unorthodox moves, because you have to figure out, like, how are these moves, for example, going to factor in with the framework that the rather certain framework that Black is going to be creating. So if you're probably playing something unusual, you're probably not going to be allowing a Chinese variation here. You're probably going to be hoping for a more orthodox variation instead. What is White going to do? Oh, imagine that. He does not, in fact, do anything unorthodox. Who would have thought that from anything that I go over? Sure enough, Black approaches from this corner, because if he doesn't, we can ask ourselves immediately what happens if he, let's say, plays away and allows his opponent to approach him. Well, we know from that it is pretty easy from there on to both attack and expand all at the same time. That is usually regarded as too good for your opponent, so as Black here, we would not want White to get a position like this. This kind of thing would typically make us sad, and we do not want to be sad in this game. So take those away, and we continue right along to see White do nothing more than backing off nice and strong. Nice, simple move. Yes, those who are watching, this is live. Alright, so... Wait, I'm stupid. Sorry, I forgot to play move. Herp-a-derp. There we go. That makes more sense. Approached, backed off, and then we can have the enclosure. Looks a little bit unusual if you start forgetting to play your stones. Another thing I recommend you don't forget to do in your Go games. If you forget to play your stones, you may find it's difficult to win an actual game. But now we are faced with a large knight, so immediately we have to ask ourselves, if we were facing the large knight here, what will we think about it? What's the difference between the large knight, the small knight, things of that sort? Small knight we know is more territorial. Large knight, more influential because it's easier to, let's just quickly say, quick and crude here. It's really easy to see that we might be able to go back and live back here, therefore the wall that we're getting is our true goal in making the large knight. So we're at our influence. So where is this wall going to use the influence? It's going to use it around on this side. So we can kind of envision that quite easily and say, you know what? I'm going to split and not let you build all that up. Because if I let you build all that up, then it's going to be really, really hard to reduce you later on. So I'll just be solidifying whatever it is you're trying to get. So alright, moves make sense so far, not throwing us for a loop. I suppose I could mention a little bit more why black didn't play anything else down here. There's really no reason to. If you were, for example, are sitting here and saying, ooh, you know, is black, oh man, I really favor the mini Chinese. But I'm not 5 down. Is this a better move? No, not really. Is this a better move? Again, no, not really. It's just different openings. And especially in the beginning of the game, there are a lot of different variations for openings. Your moves aren't necessarily bad. Alright, so we have a split. We have a choice. We can approach from above. We can approach from below. Or either direction that is on your screen. I am sorry about that again. I suppose technically we could completely play away and just say, you know what, I don't really care about this. I just want to start fighting things. So come on, come at me, bro. I want to start fighting. That's possible too. In this game, we have a more traditional response. Approaching from below, or from this side rather, that way we can start to build up. We can envision another move here, for example, and slowly see that this is quite a healthy amount of area that black might think to get. But that doesn't mean we have to go into crazy mode and try to reduce it with our very next move. We don't have to say, okay, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to attack you now. Bad idea. But why would that be a bad idea? This can still get a bit of a base, can still settle, and if black gets Sente, might even wind up attacking. So we got 2 different stones here that need defense. So let's not be crazy. Let's go and simply get a base for ourselves. So we approach. Black backs off. But again, let's hypothetically say we were worried about the bottom. What happens if black plays this instead? I mean, that looked pretty impressive a minute ago when I showed it on the board. Does it still look as impressive? Yeah, sure. But now it's white's turn. So white follows up. We can easily consider that. And suddenly the only area that black is getting is down here. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm playing, I like only one area I have to worry about my opponent getting territory from, because it makes it a lot easier to reduce. So this would make me happy. So black backs off. White continues. Actually, that's kind of unusual. This backing off bit, very commonly seen as the split. And then we back off like so. And play Joseki. And choose to settle. Admittedly, this sequence even continued on to white pushing out, and black jumping, and white coming out, and black jumping, and white trying to settle, is very, very set in stone. And as you can see, all of the section of the board is pretty much just become a set sequence. So I can't really fault him and say, you know what, you really needed to respond to white there. Would have been a bit easier, maybe, in a lot of ways if we did that, though. So white plays here. Black backs off. White now has choice, corner, or defense. If we go with defense, we're saying, you know what? I don't like leaving Aji behind. Aji is scary. That's new. Do not like that at all. Also lets his opponent take the corner again. If we take the corner for ourselves, this group is okay. A fight might break out here, but it's not a fight we're really afraid of because we're strong in the corner, and this stone is about as weak as a white stone. So we're not really concerned with that. We can fight that on even terms, more or less. So alright, we can follow along this so far. And so far it doesn't look like any game that you wouldn't study in an actual professional versus professional match. As I mentioned, keep in mind, black is an amateur. White is the only professional currently in this game. Alright, black takes the Centane approaches. Still have the bottom to worry about. What to do here? There's actually quite a bit you can do here. White decides to take territory. Okay. That's nice and steady. Black doesn't play for base. He decides to say, this area is one I want to develop. Alright. Now, I have a reservation about that. And before I tell you what that is, what do you think my reservation here is? What do you think? Take a second and ask yourself. If you were white, what would you like about this particular situation? Any ideas? Any ideas at all? So I'm going to tell you what my answer is after the sequence is done. Did I seriously pick this game? Okay, I know why I picked this game. Alright, my idea is even if black has in mind to use this wall just to Atari, let's say, here, and then defend, this is still a low stone. So sure, he's trying to develop, but I would be consoled by the fact that I'm getting territory, and I have an easy way to reduce him. White, on the other hand, is going to... He is going into an avalanche. The large... Okay, that's not a white stone, is it? The large avalanche, to be precise. Some of you may know this, some of you may not. Some of you may wonder why I'm showing a large avalanche variation. But I remember exactly why I did this. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this Joseki. Suffice it to say, there is a reason I chose this game, and it's not because of the long and complicated Joseki that we're seeing now. That much I promise you. Suffice it to say, all everyone's doing right now is just ensuring that their stones aren't dead. And if our stones are dead, then we're going to get compensation from it. That's all we're doing here. And we actually play one of the simpler variations, Deadstones. One of the simpler variations for the large avalanche, where black Ataris, white saves a stone, black gets to try to make shape, white responds, black protects, white protects, black should extend now, yep, and then white jumps away. Alright, so the question then would be, why did I pick this game? It looks like it has a long and complicated Joseki that I am never fracking going to play at my games, so why are you studying it? Why are you going over this? How is something like this ever going to help you? Well, then I look back at black's position, and I look back at white's position, and I start asking myself, who am I more comfortable with here? And that's a really, really, really tough question. Because I can see that black is developing. I can see that black's got a bit of a base. I can see that black's developing here, or has a bit of a base here as well. I can see that white might get a corner, it's still open. I can see that white's really, really low here, and here. So, at this point, I start getting a little bit worried. It's like, oh, am I really gonna have enough territory for this game? Do I need to attack still? How am I gonna continue from here? I mean, I don't have a lot of potential. I have to go on the aggressive. I have to attack, and I have to profit, or I might get in trouble. So how white is going to handle this situation that would kind of, I don't know, make me a little uncomfortable is of great interest to me. Like, how are we going to continue? Well, black's going to choose to strengthen himself because we don't want to get our stones under attack. White doesn't get to do that, sorry. White responds first, and then black gets to play, and then white plays again. Now we're playing moves that aren't retarded. Alright. So we can see now that black's connected up. And white is pretty well off in the corner. It's also white's move. So we have to think to ourselves a couple of things. We have to think to ourselves, there's a lot of black stones here. And there's a white group in the middle. That's troubling. That is troubling. A lot of open space, though. And if we defend ourselves, it might be a little bit too slow. Because now black does get to develop all of this. And then what? Where do we go from there? Hard decision. White saves his corner. Makes no invasions are going to take place. With the core nice and strong. Black responds low. If we do respond high, we're probably going to get attacked. But if we play low, then we kind of don't like the relationship with these three moves because they're all low. I'd probably go for the let's just get attacked bit. But that's just me. You probably know where I was about to put the stone, so that completely negates this question. But once we have Sente again, it's time to start asking ourselves, what's weak, what's strong, where are the large moves? We've already established from the previous questions, or the previous moves, that white doesn't have a lot of large moves in terms of, places to expand for himself. So what's weak and what's strong becomes a very interesting question. And we know that there's this remaining, and groups that are okay. We know that there's a bit of a weak group here. Bit of a 2-space extension for black. That's about all the weak groups here. I mean, there's a weak point here and a weak point here, but that's not really too much of any interest. If we attack these two stones, chances are we're going to be the ones in trouble and not the other way around. So the only place we can really go after is the left-hand side, because it strengthens us and attacks the only weak group of blacks that's currently on the board. So all that makes sense. So, as you can imagine from a player who did not lose any games from his 5-dan to 9-dan ranking on Taigo, he's a pretty good pro, and he easily understands all of these things. Able to size up the board, figure out what he needs to do. And right now it's attack this amateur 5-dans group on the left, or on this side of the board rather. So black defends, because it's pretty obvious you're being surrounded, we need to respond. Time to defend ourselves. Easy peasy. We're going to respond. And respond. But we're not going to defend. He's confident black's alive. And to spend another move over here gives him Sente to do something else. Maybe to do something like this and keep developing. I don't know. Maybe something like this and threaten the point. Maybe something completely crazy and to go for the rest of the board. Okay. So instead, he's going to try to keep the pressure on. And black, saying this does not poke at my weak point, is going to say, you know what, I don't think you're doing anything that I have to respond to. And he decides to expand. Also, we can imagine moves over here from white, and this area begins to grow, doesn't it? I mean, we've got a move like this now. Let's just play very, very vulgar moves. Move like this now, which is starting to cut through. Move like this now, which is starting to cut through. All of that was in Sente. And then the follow-up. That would be really, really bad. That would be really, really great for white. So black's pretty good. Black's doing a fairly decent job with this. But we can't defend that. That's way too small. Board hasn't really changed. We can't defend our cutting point. That's too small. So we attack. Interesting and extremely aggressive decision. We know that we're going to be in a little bit of trouble here. But maybe we can use all of the influence that we've developed to do something against these two stones. Black attacks. White has no choice but to play as fast as humanly possible. Black says, I'm not giving you Aji and cutting points. Keeps trying to use the Aji, this time of the cut. If we get to play here, we can settle oh so easy. This is a little bit weird. This move is strengthening white. White's happy to actually have that move in. Black's trying to profit. He is extremely trying to profit. I'm going to make a mess of the board. And now white's in two groups. Interesting decision. When we were cut here, we knew the chances of saving everything involved next to 0. Because how can you protect two groups at once when the group that's separating them is in fairly good shape? Almost impossible to do. So he's sacrificing. And sacrificing. And sacrificing. Hane at the head of 2 and 3 stones ensures that our opponent is probably going to respond. If he doesn't, we get to cut. Now that we're safe, we're going to look and see if there's any Aji lingering back here, or if these are just dead. Black responds nice and strong. White cuts, and black responds nice and strong. We get to live in the corner later on, but that's about it. And that's why we do those kind of probes. Just trying to ask simple questions, you know, like what's really back there? Do I have anything that I can do later? And right now we know we can. This lives. So there's still a little bit of Aji there. So alright. We've asked our question, we have our answer, time to attack. Because we got the influence, and we've got a target to use against that influence. Okay. This is understandable. I would not have imagined it would have occurred from here, though. From that frickin' invasion. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. Backs off. Doesn't let him to cut through, otherwise what's the point of all this? We aren't going to just defend ourselves, are we? We're going to attack. Pretty nice idea for black. Tries to get shape. White keeps on the pressure. Oh, black cuts. Oh dear. Yeah. Strengthens our important stone. Because these two are separated. Strengthens one. And descends. Forget the other one. He's probably hoping that he could get something like this in. But white's going to simply keep all the things disconnected. I like that. Alright, that's preventing us from connecting that way, so we connect under now. Takes his stone for himself, and white peeps. Okay. Connecting up. Wow, white peeps again. Black tries to fight it because he's getting completely sealed in with the only one eye. Oh, he comes out again, and black says, gobble gobble. It is now turkey day. Oh, wow. That is a thing. that is a thing. Those poor stones are in the process of getting hurt, but black is actually doing pretty well in his idea. He's gonna try and counterattack. He's trying to counterattack everything in the middle. Wow, look at that. Oops, I'm sorry. The stone's here. And then we did that, and now we're doing this. Okay. Force a connection. And now go for the kill. Okay. So from this invasion, we have the death of these stones, and the severe attack of these stones. That is why fights can be so interesting. I mean, you can play for just large groups, just kind of nibble at your opponent, maybe do a 3-3 invasion that everyone knows. But when those fights break out, man, that's interesting. What's also interesting is I have my headset on my head like there's actually something to hear because I'm stupid. So I'm taking that off now. How many times did I fix the cord from getting caught on the board? And it's like, well, yeah, you don't actually need it on your head right now. Way to go. Way to go. So let's see what white's gonna do. White comes up and connects. Okay, that's pretty freaking simple. It's like, oh, you're trying to, oh, okay, yeah, you're trying to disconnect. I'll just connect then. How about that? Is that a good idea? Do you mind? Okay, I'll just do that then. Black tries to kill all the things. White makes him work for it. This is hurting the left-hand side, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Well, that's ouchie times. If you connect, gets to Atari, has to connect, gets to connect. Okay, I guess we're doing it. Are you gonna go and be super aggressive and try and do something weird here with the cut? What are you gonna do, black? We're gonna take. Yep, that's all we can do. Which also means we get to connect, as mentioned. Ah, that's a shame. It means that these stones are dead, and for what reason? Not this reason. That reason's safe now. We even have the corner so that we can live in. Okay, we're going to play a ha ha ha, you have to respond to everything I do kind of move. Or wait, do we need that to live? You don't do that. You do that. And then there's the cut. Yeah, I don't think we needed that right now. I want to say we didn't. You can tell I wanted to say we didn't because I've already said it. Cut that out. Oh my god, that's painful. Now I'm confused. Did we really have to Atari this? Because there's this, which is gonna die, and then there's... But then there's only 3 liberties there. I guess it's... I guess so. I guess so. Hooray for Sente, though. At that point, I swear I'm resigning. But black isn't quite done yet. He's making some pretty interesting decisions. He's trying to get the entire middle now for himself. Got a Hane. Get to cut. White says, gobble gobble, it's turkey day. And I guess black's trying to use the Aji of the 1 stone. Ooh, I don't like this at all. If you were after the center, man, you're gonna kill off these stones and let them come on in further? Yep, you are. White goes back in Atari's, knows that if black gets this and this, that's entirely too much. Okay. So now we have that. Here's interesting moves. White plays, he's hunting again. Not really certain what we can do here, but he seems to be hunting again. He's looking for Aji. Black cuts him off. Two liberties. Oh, this is starting to look really bad. At this point, can we still keep this killed? There's so much Aji. I mean, this Hane, that Hane. This is about to connect up. There's forcing moves here, and if so, what happens to this stone? Aji in the hands of a professional is not something you want to face. Wow. Stone's moving, sorry. There we go. Oops, no, sorry, my bad. That was completely pointless. He connected, I misread. Lol. So if he connects, black connects. We don't even have to try to go for Ko? Well, now what are we gonna do? Alright, so who here looks at this shape and says white's fine? Because right now, what are we doing? What is the reason here? Why are we doing this? The simple connection under which I was, completely wetting my pants over is out of it. But we can see if he did try to do that, there's an Atari, and then if we let him take the stones, and this gets large again. Otherwise, we have to take, and then we're cut off, so that wasn't ever an issue. We can do that, but that doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Oh god, can we connect? Oh snap, I think we can connect. Oh, well that's not our friend. Oh my god, that's insane. Yeah, he can't extend. Three liberties. Two liberties. What now? Alright, black throws in. No, stupid. I said throw in. Thank you. That doesn't change anything, though. Atari, connect. Still not changing anything. I mean, that's just dead. And there are no more moves left in the game, so black resigns. Ah, understandably. All of this just died. This probably, oh my god. I mean, the fact that this is dead sucks. The fact that this has to go back now, and like live in Gote here to make his eyes is even worse. So not only did we kill him, but we killed him and we're gonna get Senti out of this. Otherwise, this group's gonna die too. That is what makes Aji really, really frightening. I had an example of how to handle those kinds of games. He was really patient. He just kept exploiting weaknesses that he found until something shook loose. He didn't go crazy. He just took care of one issue at a time, examined where the weak groups were, the invasion points, and responded accordingly. That is a very patient way of playing. Someone else might have been freaked out about what Black was trying to make and completely overreacted. Or maybe looked over here at what Black was trying to make and overreacted. But instead, he just went after the left group because that was the largest thing at the time. That got settled. So he went after a potential large area in the middle. Black responded. Then he went to the next largest point, the 2 stones down here, the invasion point. Very, very interesting. And pretty easy to follow, too, for the most part. But these sorts of things are why I love going over professional versus amateur games. Not just because, I like seeing things die. I'm sure you are all aware of that. I like large groups getting captured. I'm sorry, I do. But the fundamental aspects of the game which are on display when we see these two playing, even though Black played admirably, there's still a lot to learn there. For me, anyway. Maybe not for you, but for me. So, even though this wasn't a Pro v Pro game, you can of course still learn a lot from a very strong professional player, let's say, who is maybe playing on your favorite server, being KGS, Taigem, wherever you happen to frequent. And you can treat those games like any other game, replay them out on your board, make sure you go over them nice and slowly. You'll probably pick a few things up from it, much like I certainly have in this game. So, that being said, we will of course be having another of one of these games later on, probably in the week. I need to do a few more of these. I haven't been doing them recently, and I kind of want to. They're fun. For me, anyway. So you can look forward to that. Until then, I will see you all next